Welcome back to another episode of Forbidden Depths. I'm your host, Queen Frostbitten, and we're here today to get down, dirty, and sultry by staying open, educated, consensual, and safe. If you're returning, welcome back to another episode. Thanks for supporting the channel and its growth. If, of course, you're new here, make sure you follow, like, and subscribe, because one taste will never be enough.
Awesome. So, guys, welcome back to another episode of Forbidden Depths. We have the amazing Hotwife with us today. I'm going to go ahead and let her introduce herself because she's just so amazing. She needs to.
Hi, I am Carter James, aka CJ Hotwife.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, if you do not follow her over on Twitter, make sure you do. It's at CJ Hotwife. Awesome. Well, it's technically X now, right? I don't even know what people call it anymore.
It's weird when people call it X. Like they'll say X and I'm like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, oh yeah, Twitter, X, the bird app, whatever.
That's like I don't even know what to refer to it. And that's like been consistent. Like everybody knows it that's been using it as Twitter, but who knows? Who knows? But bird app. Okay. So my first question today is tell me how you got started. So were you like in the lifestyle before you became a professional, or did you just like fumble into being a professional?
We were in the lifestyle. We started the lifestyle in the Hotwife space, which, you know, when you umbrella the lifestyle, that's really big. And we took some time off, and then, you know, 2020 hit and everybody was making an OnlyFans. And so I made one. I didn't really think I would ever do much with it. I think I cashed the first year, I cashed out like $500 just as like a joke, and it paid for a vacation. And then the more I started following certain people and I actually got to meet them in person, I seen the bigger picture.
Right.
And from there, I decided, let's go big. And that's what we're doing. So
that's so awesome. That's so awesome. So you did not like intentionally become a professional hotwife. You just kind of already were and just kind of fell into that.
Yes. Yeah. I was already doing it. Then I decided to start filming it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So tell me how you kind of got into the lifestyle. Like, you know, some people do a little bit of exploring, kind of trying to find themselves and find out that that's something that they're really into. How did you and your mate kind of happen upon it?
So he actually had dreams. He had dreams of catching me with somebody, and instead of, you know, waking up furious like most people do, he was like, this is like really turns me on. This is something like I want to do. So he had multiple dreams before he brought it to my attention.
Right.
And we talked about it, and I'm like, you know, I just don't think so. I just don't, excuse me. I don't think that that's for me. And then, when I start having a few drinks, my real wild side comes out. So I was like, let's try it. And he's like, let's talk about this sober. And so we did. And from there, we decided to try it, and we've never gone back. So
nice. I fucking love it. So my biggest question for this now is what did the communication look like? So it sounds like you have a pretty open communicating relationship, like you both talk back and forth. So kind of how did that dialogue start? How was it brought up?
He, you know, at first I think he was a little timid to bring it up. We always had good communication. I think it was that fear of like, he thought that I would think he was weird or whatever. And, you know, so he was a little timid, but he's like, hey, so like I had the weirdest dream last night. And, you know, again, we've always had good communication. It just has always made it better. Everything we've done at this point, it just has escalated it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So I know you've talked about kind of it being something that turned him on, and then you kind of enjoyed it yourself after you kind of opened up. So with, of course, him opening up and experiencing that with you, kind of what about the experience excited him?
So before I even got into the adult side of things, he would always joke that I was his favorite porn star. So
Mm,
for him, I mean, it's definitely the voyeur thing. It's being able to watch me enjoy myself, and then knowing that I can come back and enjoy him on an
mhm.
even grander scale.
Yes. Oh my goodness, I fucking love it. So I'm super excited talking to you about it because my primary partner is a cuck. So this definitely fucking excites him too. He fucking loves it. So
Yes.
um the biggest question kind of with his, I guess, position in the relationship, does he consider himself a cuck or a voyeur?
He doesn't consider himself a cuck. We definitely lean more like on the stag vixen side of it.
Okay.
We don't do the humiliation, which I know some people do, and I know there's
Right.
very vague way. Like I know some people are like, well, he watches, so he's a cuck. I know
Mm,
there's different kind of definitions of it, but
right.
we don't consider him a cuck. He doesn't call himself a cuck.
Okay, awesome. So, um, my mate's very similar. So he doesn't like the cucking aspect. His biggest, I guess, turn on and excitement is that after everything is over, I come back to him. Like he's the winner kind of
Yeah,
mindset. Is that
yeah,
how, okay, that's how you're seeing
yeah.
it too.
The
Okay,
reclaim. So
awesome, awesome. Okay, so whenever you started, I seen that you do the Hot Wife tour too, which is fucking awesome.
I
So
do.
whenever you're touring, do you like set up destinations with other hot wives? Is it something that you like communicate within a group, or is it like one individual that you reach out to? Like, is it a group kind of setting where everyone is, I guess, mutual in the communication for the tour?
So with the tour, I mean, it's us as a group, and then we all communicate together and work on the male side of things as far as who's going to join us,
Right,
XYZ. From there, we all participate in an orgy, so everybody has to be on board with those individuals because we're going to
right.
be in an orgy together.
Mhm.
And then from there, the group play gets smaller. We might just do, threesomes, foursomes, and then ultimately just boy girl type stuff. So
Right.
we keep it pretty excluded or, pretty to the group, but then we
Right.
do open it up to guests every now and then too. So um, we just kind of stick with that primary.
Okay, awesome. So whenever you're doing the elimination process for people that kind of mesh well with the group,
Mhm.
what does that look like? Do you look for something specific, like other than testing? Obviously, anybody listening, testing is always involved, like always.
Yes. Yes. Every time.
Yes, yes.
So, so we go by we go by reference. A lot of times, one of us has maybe worked with an individual personally, whether it be a good, experience, bad experience. We lay it all out on the table. Um, Looks are there, they're always
Right.
going to be there. Personality. If I go to your Twitter and you're bad mouthing everybody under the sun, like you might seem like you have good content, but like we don't want to be associated with that. So
Yeah.
there's different variables for sure. And then yeah, if you tell me you're going to test and you show up for your scene and you're not tested or don't have the right testing, I mean, unfortunately we give you the boot. So
Yes. Which anyone should. It's one of those things like that. That should be something more standardized. And I feel like a lot of people put shame on that, like people that aren't, I guess, commonly testing. They think, oh
Mhm.
well, if I test it makes me look like I've got something. No, it doesn't. It makes you look healthy, right? We want to make sure
Right.
your health is good, everyone participating is good, because it's not just you and this other person, it's the entire group, and then whoever they have contact with after that. So like you're affecting a lot of lives. Like these people that come in, they can affect everyone, not only in the group but people after that too, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So, um, what's the biggest thing that the hot wife lifestyle has taught you about yourself?
Um, I think for me, the biggest thing is it has brought out a sense of confidence that like it
Mhm.
was probably always there, but it's really brought it into full force. I grew up in a very small town, very conservative. So, girls didn't dress the way that I want to dress. Girls didn't act the way that I want to act, and there's nothing wrong with acting the way I act, but it was
Right.
always frowned upon. So it's like now I can do what I want to do and be who I want to be and have this confidence, like I said, that I just really never had to the extent that I have now.
Fucking love it. I love it. I love that it's so empowering. So, I grew up in an area like that too, actually in Kentucky. If you know Kentucky, it's like 10 years behind everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Like now out in Texas, there are several places throughout Texas that have like really good, I guess, chemistry with being open. Like Austin, when I visited Austin, it was like everybody was just super fucking chill, super fucking giving, like over the top amazing. Other places not so much. Kind of like Kentucky behind the times. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah,
it's like
the bigger cities seem to be a little more accepting, and then you start getting outside and you're like, oh, okay, maybe it's not.
yeah. So I think in Texas kind of hit or miss, but in Kentucky it's pretty much like everybody's here's like that. And there's not a lot of opportunities to work with other people. So my I guess my biggest conflict is whenever I got started in the industry, I had a hard time finding anyone that I could work with to begin with. So that leads me to my next question for you. Whenever you started your hot wife journey, kind of how did you get started with the filming process, and how did you get started with the people that you chose to let in to your filming?
Um, so I actually started filming in December of this last year. Like I haven't, like I said, I just dabbled in it.
Right.
I had somebody reach out to me on Twitter and he's like, hey, I'm going to be in the Dallas area for family Christmas. Wanted to see if you wanted to shoot a scene while I was here. And he had actually reached out to Sweet Vicky and her husband does a lot of his filming. And
Okay.
we had actually just met them. And my husband and him hit it off really well as friends. And so from there, it just kind of became a let's bounce this off of Danny and see what he thinks. And he's like, I think you should go for it. I'd love to film it for you. Um, and from there, that was, so I probably could have been more selective, but at the same time, like he was a great guy to work with also.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Um, and so ever since, and once, really getting my toes wet with it, we've always really respected Danny and Sweet Vicky's opinions on people because they have filmed
Right.
with so many people. And then because I was new to the Dallas scene as far as filming goes, they had already filmed with a ton of those people too. So it was really easy to like, hey, this guy reached out to me and they're like, oh, not that guy, or that
Right.
guy's fantastic. So
Right.
um they were a lot of help when it came to moving forward with filming and getting to know people.
That's so great. I'm glad that you had like a point of contact to bounce stuff off of and kind of help you through the process. Um, it's really, really, really awesome that, of course, you had that starting out. Not everyone has that opportunity, but I fucking love when people do have that opportunity. So,
Yes.
whenever you started kind of diving in more, like don't let her downplay. Like she may have just got started, but she's fucking huge. Okay. Okay, guys, listen. Like I'm looking at social media. You got over 78K following on Twitter X, whatever this app is. And then I look at all your content. It looks amazing. It looks even the shots that are kind of more amateur look super professional. So like I want to say kudos. Like you're doing amazing, amazing work. I love it.
Well, thank
Um,
you.
so that leads me to, I guess, my next question for everything blowing up. So I know you said that you didn't think that it would get as big as it is. So,
Mhm.
kind of what did your mate think? Were they in kind of the same mindset, like, oh, well, it's awesome that we're doing this. I love it, but I don't think it's really going to go anywhere? Or was he like, nah, this is going to blow the fuck up?
Um, I think once he's seen the wheels kind of start spinning in my brain, I think he always knew, like, he always knew it was going to
Okay.
blow up, but I think he knew I had my own not really reservations, but like, I mean, he's like, you gonna do porn one day? I'm like, no. And he's like, but it's like, I already had an OnlyFans. So, I mean, I basically I was doing self-play stuff. And so
Right.
I think once he realized, my wheels were turning, like, okay, he's seen me seeing the bigger picture. He was like, it's gonna happen. And I'm
Right.
like, yeah, maybe. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, it's happening. And he's like, I told you. So like it was always that like shadow of like, it's gonna happen. He knew.
Right. Okay. Okay. So again, that's pretty awesome that there's like the open communication. That's one of the biggest things that I like try to push for. I talk about open communication. I talk about, validation of everybody involved and everything. So throughout the process, have either one of you had any kind of like insecurities or anything that you had to help grow through?
Um, I don't know that there was necessarily insecurities. We did, I mean, we've had some little like speed bumps, and it really came to when I would travel the first couple times I traveled without him.
Mhm.
He had been to a couple content parties with me, so he would see me downtime, hanging out, a lot of time to chit chat, do whatever. And he so the first time I traveled, he was like, well, you're not texting me, you're not whatever. And I'm like, but I'm in this big group of girls. Like, I don't want to be in the corner texting
Right.
and, not being social, or, some of this stuff has just happened wham bam, like
Yeah.
there is no time. And so
Right.
it really, wasn't necessarily an insecurity, but like he had it in his mind one way because of how a previous experience went versus how it was. So we just had to get over that that molehill. Like, yes, I'm communicating with you, but sometimes it's not as fast as you want, and you're going to have to either A, be okay with that because this is the reality of what it is, or B,
Right.
like, this isn't going to work. And so once we got over those little bits, like, we've been fine.
I love it. I love that you two kind of work together to come to that conclusion too, because not everyone can kind of sort that on their own. So awesome. Again, props for open communication. Um,
Thank you.
so that's going to lead me to my next question. So whenever, of course, you're communicating with him, trying to give him kind of the rundown about whenever you're involved in scenes or just traveling in general, um, was there ever a point he was like, I understand I may need some growth on my end. Does he okay, so I guess maybe I need to phrase that better. Um, with the growth that you both have had, has there ever been a point where he's like, I completely understand that we're two different people, we have two different roles.
Hmm.
Okay, awesome. So with those two different roles, was it one of those things where he was kind of nitpicky, like, okay, well, I need to know all about it happens during the scenes, or was he more or less like, it's cool, I was just making sure you were okay, kind of situations?
At first, it was kind of, I need to know because, lifestyle, I would give you all the details, I would give
Right.
you whatever. Where when I'm traveling and I'm filming, it's still a lot of fun, but there's kind of this work mode that
Yes.
switches. And it's like, I don't remember all the details because my next, okay, what do I got to do next? Where do I got to be
Right.
next? Like, that's the way my brain thinks.
Right.
And so that was kind of part of some of that speed bump that we had to get over. And once he realized that it's a work situation, then he understood, like, okay, well,
Okay.
I can't bug her for all of the details. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, guess what? You get all the raw footage, so you get to see everything that happened
Yeah.
anyways, because you're gonna go edit
Yeah.
it.
And you get like
So,
the kind of communication after. So it's kind of like just a revamp after. You're like reliving the moment, kind of explaining everything to him. Now,
mhm.
I am curious, whenever you are giving all these details after you get back, is that exciting for him the same as if he got to watch, or is it one of those things it excites him more to watch?
Um, he's just as good with details as he is watching. Really, because sometimes being in a situation where he's able to watch is not always as present.
Right.
So the detail, we've played and just done the details also. So I think for him it goes both ways. He can either get the details or watch it, and he's
Mhm.
completely fine.
Awesome. So with, of course, the entire process, I know you said that he didn't really, I guess, more or less know what he enjoyed, and then he had the dreams. So, was there anything like associated with his past or with your past that would make you think that that would be something that you were interested in for the future?
Um,
Like any kind of instances or something that
I,
happened
I
that
mean,
was,
I don't think so. We honestly both got like cheated on, and those where you would almost think the opposite of what we're rolling
right.
into because of the insecurities that come, and just the beat down that comes with being cheated on. And maybe at the same time that could be a reversal in the situation where you're like, you know what? Because I was cheated on, now I could do this. I think it maybe goes both ways, but I don't think that there was any like relevant, very instant thing that happened that made
Right.
us want to try this.
Okay. I ask because with a lot of fetishes, there's a lot of like moments, some kind of like occurrence that might have happened that causes you to kind of be drew to it. Like I
Mhm.
remember, I'll throw something weird in there because some of the listeners, you may be new to the channel, not really know.
Mhm.
So whenever I was younger, I was around horses a lot. I was around leather a lot, and now I have a huge fetish for leather. So just the smell of it, like the way it feels, the texture, all of that's super exciting for me. So I like to ask, maybe someone had some kind of instance where they were kind of drawn to that situation. So with of course the dynamic of your relationship, it sounds, I'm gonna feel like, looking at both of you, like in the end you both feel like you're the winner. Like mentally, that's where I see it. Like you both get to enjoy yourself. You both have this opportunity for pleasure on both ends. And at the end of the day, you know that there's no cheating involved. You know that there's open communication. You guys are just, you just fucking love it, right?
I would agree. Yeah. We're
Yeah.
both winning.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
okay. That's where my
Yeah.
that's
That's
where
good.
my
I like it. I like it. Well,
all right. So my next question, whenever you started, of course, the hot wife lifestyle, did you have like a civilian job, or was it one of those things that it started? I know you said that it helped pay for a vacation, which is really fucking awesome. But did you have like some kind of alternative civilian job that you kind of left whenever you became successful?
yeah, I had a regular 9 to 5. I was back working at home because of COVID, but I just was like, I've never been a behind the desk person and I did it for 12 years. You know what I mean?
Oh
So I'm
my,
like,
yes.
I was like, when it really took off, I was like, I don't want to sit behind the desk anymore.
Yeah,
So
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
even if it's at
So,
home and I don't have to wear pants, I still don't want to sit behind a desk.
yeah, it's one of those things. Okay, so I don't know if this is how it is for you, but I love the freedom that sex work offers because I don't enjoy sitting behind a desk unless it's working for myself, and then I'm kind of okay with that. Like if I'm editing something, it's cool because it's for my agenda. But like if I'm
Yes,
working for someone else, I don't like sitting in one spot. I have ADHD, so I have a problem sitting still anyway. So it's one of those, I feel like I'm tied down to a desk. Like
hmm
mentally, it's just exhausting for me.
yeah, that was me. And then when I was in the office, I was constantly in other people's offices bothering them because I couldn't sit down and pay attention. And I'm like, then when I would come home, I'm like, well, I mean, I could go do laundry or I could go do dishes or I could do whatever. But yeah, so the flexibility, like you said, is just crazy. Okay, well, it's fine if I take a 45-minute break or need to
Right.
go take a nap or need to go fold laundry or tend to whatever's going on outside and I don't have anybody yell at me.
Right. So now, anybody listening know that it's a lot of work. It's a lot of hard work. Like, yes, the flexibility is there. Yes, you kind of get to be your own boss, which is awesome. It also comes with a lot of fucking issues too, because you're a
Mhm.
contractor, right? Working for yourself. You're an entrepreneur. So there's a whole can of worms that comes with that.
It does.
So that leads me to my next question. So, with, of course, you becoming your own boss, kind of becoming liberated with the flexibility, does your partner kind of help with managing your business, or do you do it all yourself?
He helps so much. When I agreed to starting an OnlyFans page, I was like, I'll take the pictures, I'll do whatever, but you're on it. Like you are responsible for all of it because I don't have the time where his job allows him to. And so then once it went big, I mean, he helps do my social media posting. He helps behind the scenes with editing videos, things like that. He weeds out my trash messages because we all know I don't care to see 75 dick pics in a day, but people find that whatever. I don't want to see it. So he really helps with that because I would absolutely get very overwhelmed without him.
Right.
So, and probably just be like, I don't want to do it anymore.
Right. And oh my goodness. So, my biggest issue with the dick pictures is people don't even like, you don't even know them. Like these random motherfuckers just like sending random dick pics, and most of them don't even send context or anything. It's just like, here's a picture of my dick, and then you're like, what is this even? Like, why is this even here? So,
Mhm.
whenever you kind of got more involved and your business kind of blew up, did it increase, I guess, the flow of more people sending, or did it stay pretty steady?
It stays pretty steady. I mean, I still get them and I still get the, hey, hey, how are you? Hey, let's meet up. Hey, let's fuck. I mean, just the vulgar, blunt to the straight
Right.
to it. And I'm like, bro, like I'm not a prostitute. Like
Right.
I feel like there's just this weird stigma because I fuck for money means I'm gonna fuck you for money and I'm not gonna do that either. So
Right. And and anyone that's not listening, if you don't know, even prostitutes get to pick who they fuck. They don't just fuck
I
random
do.
people that they don't
Exactly.
even
Exactly.
know, that they don't even want to be around. They get to choose too, motherfucker. So just because someone gets paid to fuck doesn't mean they want to fuck everyone. And
Yes.
oh my goodness. So I have a quick story to tell you about that. I was going to, okay, so rewind a little bit. My brain's moving too fast. So in high school, there were several people that I kind of like, we weren't really friends, but we were on a acquaintance base, right? So they were telling me, oh, well, you would be so much prettier if this. Oh, well, you would be so much more attractive if this. And they would point out me being weird in some way, right? Like the clothes I wore was weird, or maybe I wore my hair weird. And it was one of those, I could be prettier or hotter if. So those people are now like, since of course I'm more developed in my career, they're like, oh, well, I find you attractive and we kind of go way back. So that means we should fuck. Do you have any experiences like that? Like people that are like, we went to school together. That means I feel some kind of entitlement.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I really try to kind of block out my home life, my hometown life.
Right.
Obviously at this point there's no doing that. But it is like it hasn't been necessarily like I think we should fuck, but it's been like this. I feel like I should tell you things
Mm,
that I would never have told you because of what you do. Like, and I'm like, bro, I don't care about your issues with your wife or the fact that you have ED or whatever
yeah.
it may be. Like, it's just like if it's like this weird therapy thing where it's like they want you to answer their questions just because they feel like you should. You know, again, I haven't really had the hey, let's fuck. I'm sure it's coming, but
Yeah.
it's there in a weird sense, and I'm just like, no, I don't owe you anything. I didn't like you then, and I don't like you now.
Right. Yes, yes. So, oh my goodness. That goes back to after of course you get so big, people try to have conversations with you. They're like, "Oh, well, you should still think about the little guy. You should still be humble." And while I do agree with that, they don't understand the flip side of that, right? They don't understand how busy a life is whenever you live in a lifestyle or whenever you work
Mhm.
for yourself, or whenever you are huge as fuck, like you now. So it's one of those things, you only have so much time that you can disperse to fans or just people like it from your past and stuff. And it's not like you have like this unlimited amount of time that you would be able to reach out to these individuals. Even saying,
Mhm.
hi, how are you? Like that takes a few fucking seconds and you have to pull up their information, which I mean, it can be done. But what I'm saying is there's limited time. So I don't feel like the majority of people understand that it is a business. Like, it's
Mhm.
one of those things they think, oh, well, they're just doing this for fun, or they're doing this for profit, but everybody else is paying for it, so I should just get it for free. So, kind of,
Mhm.
what is your stance on that? Do you feel like, not everyone is looking at it like a business aspect?
Yeah, they definitely look at it. They just see me traveling. They see me, on my phone. Oh, she's free. She's busy, but she's free because she's always on her phone or whatever.
Right.
And so, I mean, yeah, people get pissy when I don't respond. Or there's like new people. They're in the lifestyle and we've met them, and they'll be like, well, I messaged you on Facebook and you didn't respond. I'm like, I don't respond to anybody on Facebook. Like,
Yeah.
sorry. And we genuinely have very good connections with people in the lifestyle and have met some new people.
Hmm.
Luckily, my husband does not ever stop talking. He's always talking to somebody. So, a lot of people have learned like to ask him, like, do you think she'll respond? And
Hmm.
so he always asks, he's like, hey, because I like when people put in the effort because
Right.
they just think, well, she's on her phone, she'll message me. No, I'm messaging 10,000 other people that are business related. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, you're not in my energy space right now,
Right.
or really probably ever, unless you show me you want to give me some energy too.
Right.
And that's just the reality of it. So we actually had a lifestyle couple reach out to him earlier today, and he's like, he wants to know if he can message you. And I'm like, yes, I appreciate people wanting
Right.
to talk to me, and be genuine, because finding the
Right.
genuine ones too is hard now.
Oh, yes.
So yeah.
And I've seen it be more like, I guess, the lifestyle is more dense because it's like everyone thinks that they're a part of the lifestyle, even the people that aren't. Like these random people that's never kind of interacted with couples or been in the lifestyle at all. They're just like, hey, I'm trying to fuck. So, do you get a lot of people like that? Just like random people that have no idea what they're doing. They're just trying to like get their dick wet and they're like, "Hey, I just, let's film a scene together." And they like have no social media. They literally haven't been in the lifestyle. Do you get that a lot?
I do. My favorite is let's collab.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
collab. That's my absolute favorite. It's not even let's fuck anymore. It's let's collab, because they know that's like the shoe-in word to fuck. And I'm like, let's not collab. Let's not do any of that, because you don't have a profile picture on anything. Like that's, yeah, I get that a lot. Let's collab.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's becoming more prominent, I feel like, because people do think that that's like a bypass. They're like, hey, if I use these keywords, that means they'll want to fuck me. No, it doesn't. But I can tell you that a lot of people like CJ fucking love effort. Like, go that extra mile.
Yes.
Build up your account,
Hmm.
build up your brand, actually develop into something, show that you are someone that's driven, that wants to do something with the lifestyle or with porn or whatever it is in the industry you're trying to go at, and then reach out whenever you have some kind of like platform and background, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
All right. So what is your inspiration for your content?
Um, it's a good question. Yeah. Uh, I mean, my I try to roll with kind of hot, the Hotwife thing. That's my brand. So, my
Right.
inspiration is kind of hot wife scenarios. Obviously that doesn't always happen, but
Right.
those fun hot wife things. I don't film with a lot of condoms, but my husband will, he's like, I just want to see you like do a whole scene like where you start with the condom and you just rip it off and say fuck it, because he's like, that's a hot wife like kink for people. And I was like,
Right.
With the right person, yeah. So
Right.
I think my inspiration usually stems from that, like trying to figure out what's going to continue pushing that brand. And then, from there, I like to do the weird, fun stuff too, where I was filming a scene in Tampa and the lawn guy showed up. Like literally, the lawn people were there mowing the lawn and we were fucking on the bench. So I'm down for almost anything and spontaneity and, not overthinking it. But sometimes I have to remember, like, my fans do like that kinky hot wife stuff. So moving forward with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. So that actually leads me to my next question. What fucking kinks do you have? I am curious.
I'm still pretty vanilla, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. But I've learned, like, I never really thought of having like a praise kink. People would be like, good girl, and I'd like actually kind of cringe, like, to the innermost of my soul. But here lately, like, I've discovered, like, I think that's more of a thing than I ever realized. And it really stemmed from another couple. She had a praise kink, and my husband did it with her because that's her thing. And then he like came and did it to me, and I'm like, wait a minute, that was actually really fucking hot. So it's, I'm still learning more and more about myself sexually. I was never like a prude, but I think I was always scared to explore certain things too. And so, yeah, I think the more I film with people who have different kinks, the more I'm like, okay, like I could be into that.
Right.
That's something fun. So
yeah,
I'm still learning. I'm still figuring it out.
Yes.
So.
And as you should be. Listen, there is never a limit on education. I always get excited for that.
Never.
So, with, of course, you kind of exploring more about yourself and kind of deciding what you do like, are there any kinks that was like an absolute no-go that you've been exposed to? You're like, yeah, no, throw that one out the fucking window right
Yeah, I mean, I know, like, when it comes to like fetish stuff, like water play, water sports and pooping, like that's all definitely a no.
now. No go.
Yeah.
Hard limits.
Yeah. I mean, except for water play, like I actually had a guy, he's like, you can pee in my mouth. I'm like, we tried it. It was a little different. I think under different circumstances, I could have maybe gotten behind it a little bit more, but in the time I was like, I mean, I'll try anything once, but yeah, that's probably about it for now. So I think people look at me and just know I'm probably not into anything overly crazy. So they don't really ask for much.
Well, I think you're an amazing, gorgeous individual, and anyone is fortunate to get to explore kinks with you. Again,
well, thank you.
You don't follow her over on Twitter, you should, because listen, there's a lot of amazing stuff. Like even the pinned is super fucking hot. Like,
oh yeah, my Splash Bros.
yeah. Yeah,
they're a lot of fun.
I watched that one several times. So, again, super, super awesome. With, of course, I know that you kind of consider it more a little vanilla, but even with like your pin stuff with the Splash Bros, it's like a threesome kind of situation. So that kind of leads me to looking at different scenes that you've had since you started. So whenever you consider the different kind of scenarios that you've had, what is your favorite kind of scene to film?
Honestly, filming the Splash Bros scenes, like I think a male, female is probably going to be my number one. I really enjoy DVP, which is what we did in that scene. And then I like a good boy girl. But I've also been in several like female males. So like a foursome type thing, and those have always been super fun. The two other females and we've always had really good chemistry. And then, the male himself, I mean, what guy doesn't want that? So you kind of hear fantasies about like your typical threesome, and then you add in like that one extra person, and it just kind of becomes this whole different dynamic.
Right.
And so yeah, those two would probably be my tops, like either a male, female, or like the foursome with three girls.
Okay. Okay. Super awesome. So that leads me to another burning question that I have. What do you consider yourself? So do you consider yourself straight? Do you consider yourself bisexual? Are we looking at pansexual? What are we looking at with your sexuality?
I'm definitely bisexual. I've explained it to people like this before. I'm bisexual, but I don't necessarily like run around seeking pussy, but
Right.
I enjoy good pussy when it's there, if that makes sense. I know
Yes.
some people like they'll get into a threesome situation and be like, I'm not touching her. And that's not me at all. Like
Right.
I love being with a woman. I mean, I've been with a girl in the lifestyle, just me and her, we went out on a date, went home, had our own fun.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't crave that.
Right.
But if it's there, I enjoy it.
Okay.
So
Okay. Understandable. I
yeah,
love it. I love it. So you're not going to turn it down if it's good.
exactly.
All right. So, what strengths do you feel you need to be successful in the lifestyle?
Okay, repeat that because you cut out. So what strengths, what?
What strengths do you feel you need to be successful in the lifestyle?
Um, to be to be successful in the lifestyle, I think communication is always going to be my number one when it comes to a question like that. If you don't have communication, it's going to crumble, it's going to fail. Um,
Right.
Honestly, you have to have a solid relationship. Like that has to be a strength. Like you can't come into the lifestyle and think it's going to fix some sort of brokenness that you have. I feel like I see that all the time. Like, oh, well, you know what? Maybe if we bring another girl into the situation, that's going to fit. No, it's not. Like, that's a terrible idea. So, yeah, but it's like, I feel like obviously if you don't have communication, your relationship's probably not at a strong point either. So
Right.
they kind of go hand in hand. Um, but yeah, that's probably the biggest one is communication. And it
Oh my
just kind
God.
of trickles down from there.
You're so fucking gorgeous and intelligent. Like, oh my goodness. Like, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So I'm gonna say that it's kind of like half and half. So I've been trying to, okay, let me rewind a little bit. I get it too excited. So I have in the past tried to help so many couples that thought that I was in the lifestyle, so it meant I was a unicorn. I'm not a unicorn, obviously, but
Mhm.
there's a lot of people that think because you are open-minded that you are a unicorn. So instead, I would try to explain to them if they told me, "Oh, well, we're trying to spice up our relationship," and I was like, "Well, why are you trying to spice up the relationship?" Because that's a pretty big question, right? So why are you
Yeah.
searching for an outside person to bring in? And a lot of these people are like, well, the marriage is kind of slow or the relationship's kind of slow, it's kind of dead right now, and I'm trying to make my hubby happy or I'm trying to excite my wife so she doesn't leave me. And I'm like, that's not how it works.
No, no.
Like, you can't add gasoline to a fire and expect it not to get bigger.
Okay.
like it's one of those things where I've did counseling for so many couples that kind of feel like that. They think that bringing in someone else is going to fix the issues that they have, and it doesn't. It makes the issues worse. If there are insecurities that you don't talk through, it makes those huge. If there's
Yes.
some kind of lack of communication that's already there, that's going to increase that because that's going to draw up the insecurities as well. This person's going to be like, "Oh, well, they probably do this behind my back. Oh, well, this might happen." Or there's a lot of ifs that are
Yes.
brought up. So,
Yes.
um, with of course my experience, I have seen a lot of couples kind of try to dabble in the lifestyle because they're like, "Oh, well, this could be for me because I'm not happy right now." If you're not happy, you should fix what's not happy, not try to introduce something else as a distraction, right?
Right.
So with most couples that I've talked to that don't really have experience in the lifestyle, I kind of had to explain that to them. And most people end up not talking to me after. They're like, yeah, that's no thanks. Okay, sorry for trying to help you with your trauma.
My bad.
So, so it kind of leads to that, which leads me to my next question for you. Have you had a lot of people approach you for like the unicorn scenario? They want you to be a third to be involved in their relationship.
Yes. And then they get mad when I tell them my husband has to be involved in some form or fashion. Like,
Right.
he doesn't have to come with me. He doesn't have to whatever, but you have to at least pretend he exists. And
Yeah.
so that's probably the biggest thing we run into. Well, they know that I'm married. They know that I'm in an open relationship. So they approach me in that unicorn aspect.
Right.
And then just almost, it's disrespectful to him to act like he
Yes.
doesn't and isn't, alive. And I'm like, I can't, it's a hard no for me. But I mean, no, I'm not going to help you with whatever you're trying to do. Especially we're going to blatantly disrespect him, because if you disrespect him that much, how much respect are you going to have for me if I continue to further this on,
Right. 100%. 100%. And it's one of those things that I feel like a lot of people feel like if they admit to something like that, like there's another party involved, then it somehow tarnishes the fun. It doesn't. It's not going to affect any kind of the events. It literally just makes the parties feel secure in their positions, right? And
Yeah.
if you're good at what you do, or you really want to be involved with someone, you should make them want to feel secure in their position. Even whenever you're humiliating someone, they should have a part into giving consent. If consent isn't there, then it shouldn't take place,
Right.
right? So
Right.
regardless of whether it's something that's like humiliation involved, or if it's on the flip side and it's something that's not even remotely related to humiliation, there should always be consent. So even if it's like hard kinks, there's still consent. I don't care what anybody fucking tells you. I'm a professional dominatrix, and I tell you, every time I fucking have a session with someone, I'm like, this is what's going to happen. Are you okay with it? If you're not okay with it, let's talk about it. If you are
Mm-hmm.
okay with it, cool. Or if they're deep in subspace, I'm literally walking them through it. Now, my voice might sound a little more velvet in the moment because I'm, being all sexy and stuff to keep the scene going. But it's not like one of those things that I just randomly like try to yank someone's balls off, or you know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
always talk. There's always communication. And if you can't communicate, you don't need to be doing it because we're fucking adults, right?
Right.
I just people not communicating and feeling like they can leave people out is a hard limit for me, if you haven't noticed.
Oh, it is. Yes, it's the same. It's, even though like we're not pulling balls off. I mean, we're still humans, and
Yeah,
there's acknowledgement that has to be there. So,
yeah. I mean, shit, I even have full disclosures for everything I do to make sure all parties are happy. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, if everyone's not happy, then it shouldn't be performed. That's
mhm.
my views. I feel like no one should be in a forced environment. Everyone should be happy with their role in whatever's taking place.
Mhm.
So, with your support system, I know you have this amazing mate that is awesome and helps you with all kinds of stuff related to you being a hot wife.
Mhm.
Do you have someone outside of the community that is super supportive, like potentially a friend that was there for you before you got into the lifestyle, like openly, not, you know what I mean, not a
Mhm.
personal, but like whenever you blew up, did you have someone prior that kind of supported you and was like, yeah, I think that's fucking awesome. I think you should definitely go for it.
Um, when we decided to go for it, we didn't really have anybody that was necessarily like we would have went to with it. We do have um two sets of friends that do know everything now. Because we just kind of had to tell them. It was like, listen, I can't come float the river with you this weekend because I'm going to be fucked all weekend. So I'm sorry. Um, and those two couples have been very, very supportive.
Mhm.
we have a couple single girlfriends that have been our friends forever that eventually it came out. And it was one of those like, either we tell you this and we lose you forever because that's the reality of it. They're going to be that close-minded, or they're going to support you. However, I feel like we knew from the get-go they were probably going to support us. And I mean, I actually just hung up with one of them like 5 minutes before we jumped on this call because we needed to talk. So yeah, without them though, but there's no way I could continue to do it because it would be super lonely.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm glad you have some. That makes me so excited. I love whenever people, especially people that aren't in the community, are supportive, because sometimes people can be very fucking harsh when it comes to looking at the industry because they think it's all bad or someone's getting taken advantage of. And from my personal experience, I haven't had anyone in the industry, or I mean anyone, I guess, like clients or anything like that either, that have been extremely negative or like shitty or cause some kind of fucking issue. Have you had any negative experiences with the lifestyle as a professional?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I have my people that I don't need to ever work with again.
Of course.
Not that it was like a, oh my God, you hear these crazy stories of girls being like drugged and, crazy things happening. I've never had an experience like that. It's just personality didn't match, whatever.
Right.
But I do know that, I mean, it can definitely happen, and I can see why people lean to that being a bad thing. But
Right.
overall, no, I've really had anything terrible. I just have my list of, we don't have to do that again.
Right. Right. Certainly. And I mean, that all goes back to compatibility overall. That's not just like with porn or something. That's just working with someone, period. Because I mean, even at a vanilla job, there's going to be people that you kind of have a clash with, right? So it's one of those things, you kind of have to find the good ones that are like, yeah, we'll go back to that again. Yeah, we'll revisit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's consistent with just about anything, whether you're in a vanilla job or, of course, you're working in the industry. Because I mean, we all have our types, whether it's physical, whether it's emotional connections. You're going to mesh better with some people over others, right?
Yeah.
So if you were talking to your younger self kind of about how you've developed in the lifestyle, what kind of tips or information would you provide for your younger self?
My younger self, I didn't really feel like I ever had a voice. Like I was quiet. I was loud, but I was quiet.
Right.
I would tell her to speak up. I would tell her to be confident and don't worry about hurting those feelings. Because as an adult, trying to hurt your feelings, I'm trying to tell you how it is because of how you're making me feel, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
But yeah, I would tell her to speak up more. Because I would speak up, but I'd hold a lot back, and I'm like, oh, I probably should have just let it all out.
Right. And that kind of goes back to what we talked about a moment ago. Like, it's okay to experience something and be like, it's just not for me. And if you're not kind of voicing your opinion about, or your emotions about how you're feeling, then it could be one of those things that's reoccurring. And if it's a bad experience, not like, a terrible one, but if it's a bad experience, you don't want to keep living through that. You want to give yourself the opportunity for growth and be like, maybe that's just not for me. Right.
I agree. Yep.
All right. So that leads me to aspirations. So, what did you want to be as a kid? Like, did you ever see yourself being in the lifestyle in any form or fashion? Like, oh, I want to be a model or something like that?
No. In my head, I was always too short to be a model. I'm only 5'2". So you see these beautiful 6 foot tall Amazon women, and there's me.
Gorgeous.
So no, I wanted to be an architect, and I wanted to be a marine biologist when I was growing up.
Nice. I love it. So, did you have someone that kind of inspired you for those roles, or what drew you to them?
Um, I had a friend who she was very big into animal life, so she was really the one who probably headwayed the I want to be a marine biologist. Where I grew up, there was nothing of this sort without like leaving for Florida. So I know it's pretty not there.
Right.
As far as the architect goes, like I was always really good at stuff like that. My mom seen it in me, so she actually pushed me to go that direction. So that's kind of where I started, and then now I do porn.
Nice. Nice. Again, solidifying gorgeous and intelligent. That's my favorite. So, whenever, of course, you're looking at any kind of, I won't do that again, do you ever label any of that as a regret? Like, do you have any regrets in the lifestyle?
No, I don't think so. Um, I just, most of my like, I don't need to do that again is, um, I usually take everybody's opinion with a grain of salt when it comes to certain
Right,
things. I like to find out for myself, um, because just because it's not for you doesn't mean it isn't going to be for me. And
right,
I won't know once I do it. Now, I mean, obviously, if somebody like throws the book at me with some sort of craziness, I'm probably going to cut it there. But I do like
right.
to give people the benefit of the doubt because just because I say I don't like you doesn't mean I don't think it wouldn't be a great scene for somebody else or experience for somebody else. It just wasn't for me. So no, I wouldn't say that I have any regrets. Not yet. No.
Yeah, yeah. Fucking awesome. So, with, of course, the dynamic that you have with your mate, is there ever scenes that you guys film together, like couple swaps, as opposed to only him being in the voyeur aspect?
Yeah, we do couple swaps. In the lifestyle, we slowly evolved into like a full swap couple.
Mhm.
Um, I was like, well, this isn't fair. I get to go have this fun, and why can't you? And so, we quickly found finding single girls or whatever was easy. And so when it came to filming, he made an OnlyFans page to make tagging easy because that's a nightmare
Oh,
sometimes.
yes.
And
Oh my goodness.
then it's like I was like, you know what? There's a market for you.
Right.
Like you should absolutely like if somebody asks you to film, you should go
Mhm.
film. And so it does make it nice when people reach out because a lot of women reach out and want to do like a girl scene with me. I just know I would love to. It just doesn't sell well. So it's not really worth my time.
Right.
So anytime we can either do a couple swap or do a threesome and he can be involved, yeah, it makes it great because why not?
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck yeah. So that kind of leads me back to, I feel like there are times for everything, like phases for themes in porn or in the lifestyle when it comes to the content that's selling. So, what do you feel like is hot in the lifestyle right now? Like, what sells really good for you?
Orgies,
Of course,
orgies.
that's always going to be one that's like at the top of the list.
Yeah, no, orgies still sell really, really well. And here lately, like reverse gangbang. So like anytime there's one dude or and 4+ women, those have been selling wonderful for me. So
Awesome. Awesome. Again, that is a dream that most men have, period. It's
yeah.
so that leads me to my next question. Whenever you're looking at filming a session, so you're looking at filming a scene, um, how do you kind of navigate with what's going to happen in the scene? Do you have like a complete set guideline that you go by, like bullet points that you follow? Or is it just one of those, oh, we're going to go with the flow wherever the chemistry takes us?
I prefer let's go with the flow. The
Mhm.
scene itself always is more natural.
Right,
Um, there's some people they want a full blown scenario, intro,
right.
whatever. And it just makes my brain hurt because I'm like,
Yeah.
wait, what do I got to do next? Where you want my footwear? Like, you know, I very vividly remember my first mainstream, and he went through the whole thing, and he's like, okay, so you're gonna lay here, we're gonna do this for a minute, and then you're gonna stop because we're gonna take pictures, and then we're gonna keep going, but you're gonna turn around and we're gonna be in doggy, and then you're gonna be in mesh, and then you're gonna get down on the floor. And I'm like, what? Like, I get it, I understand, but I'm like, oh, that's a nightmare. So I'm not saying I won't do it again because mainstream's fun, but I do like just the gonzo, hey, let's get to it and see what happens. You know, we go through our list of do's and don'ts, which obviously
Right.
alleviates some awkwardness, but yeah, from there, yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. I love to hear it. So I too enjoy that. So I found that it's fine to have like I guess a rough guideline, like we want this to happen and this to happen. It doesn't really matter how you get from point A to point B, but they just need to be in it.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what I like best if someone has
I
like
know,
bullet points.
like, yeah, if we do like a threesome, you know, like we're like the guy, I always like, hey, if we're in a female male, I need the guy to lay down, girls riding face, girls riding cock, we're making out. You
Right.
know, so it's like situations like that where I'm like, those are good threesome points. So like there is times, yes, where I'm like, we need that to happen. Or
Right.
say if Danny is filming for me, he's done enough where he'll let you go with the flow. But if he realizes we're missing some of those like big things, he'll be like, hey, let's stop, guys. Let's do this. We're like, oh
Right.
yeah. So,
Yeah, because you can get carried away if it's one of those that you have really good chemistry with, right?
mhm,
If it's meshing
mhm.
well all around, it's one of those things that like porn is supposed to one be one of those things that is entertaining, but I mean two, if you're fucking good at your job and you're fucking loving it, it's going to show up better on camera too.
Yes. Yep. Hey, my husband can tell which ones I'm enjoying more than others.
Yes, yes, of course. You could read that body language.
Oh yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna have a couple more questions for you. My first is going to be, what do you feel like the cons of being a pro star are? So what kind of cons? What's the negatives of you being this famous hot wife?
Um, the back of my brain is one day I'm gonna have to talk to my child about this. Um, he's not old enough to know any different, but kids are awful, and we're gonna have to have that talk. So that's a
Right.
con. Um, we're the talk of a small town,
Mm,
always, always. The con, it's physically exhausting. That's a con. I definitely, after like long trips, it takes me a good week to like bounce back and feel like I'm like normal.
right.
Um, where, you know, my 9 to 5, sure, I was tired, but it wasn't physically demanding like this.
Hmm.
Um, and just remembering like I have to still take care of myself. So,
Yes. Yes. Which can get very hard if you're traveling and doing all of this work all the time. Like it's very time consuming. That goes back to kind of what we were talking about in the beginning. Like you literally have very little time for yourself.
mhm. This is the
So
first I was telling my husband, I was like, I got my lashes done, I got my nails done. Like I had like 5 minutes to go tanning, and I felt just like revamped.
right.
So,
So that's what you like to do. Tell me what self-care looks like for you.
I get my nails done. Like that, those are my thing, is everybody always has something to say about my nails. If I don't have my lashes done, I feel like I look sick. So that's it. Um, I enjoy just laying in the tanning bed. I don't have a bathtub or anything to soak in. We just have really a nice shower. So I
Mhm.
just like that, like 8 minutes of just no phone. My eyes are closed. There's like the humming of
Mhm.
the bed, and just almost kind of like a weird little meditation. So,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Nice. It's like your brain gets to slow down. It gets to be quiet for a minute. You get some time to yourself so that no one is talking to you, no one is touching you. There's no online stuff going on. You just get to exist.
yes, yes.
I love it. I love it. All right. So I'm gonna have two more questions for you.
Okay.
Second to last one is whenever you, of course, had experiences as a child, did you ever had any kind of trauma that was impactful? Like, did you have any kind of emotional, physical, or sexual abuse whenever you were a kid or teenager?
Um, Sexual abuse, not as a kid or a teenager. I had some kind of shitty things happen as a college kid, which were kind of hills I had to get over in the adult industry. Um, Emotional traumas, my dad was an asshole. He took more of it out on my brother than he did me, but I watched it.
Right.
I lived it with him.
Yeah, and that's
Um,
traumatizing too.
and it is. And those are traumas that really, until he passed away, I don't think we realized were even traumas for us.
Right.
And then we could really be like, oh, you know what? Like, I get it now.
Right.
Um, and we didn't really have anything physical ever happen either. So, I mean, emotional, we definitely had some emotional traumas growing up.
Right. Well, I am super glad that you have worked through those and became super successful
Yeah, thank you.
because I fucking love seeing people like you winning, the positive, the down to earth, the self-motivated. Listen, there's a lot of people that I see that get into the industry and they're like, "Oh, well, I expect just to kind of show up and I don't expect to do any work, but I expect to be paid and I expect to be fucking huge just because I'm naked." Like,
No, it doesn't work that way.
if only.
I would have started a long time ago.
Yeah, same. So that kind of leads me to my last question for you, and I know I've took up a lot of your time today, so I really appreciate you being here. Um, Tell me what your favorite part about the industry is. What's the best part about sex work?
The connections. I have met better people in the last, what month are we on? We're in November 11. In the last
Mm,
11 months, um, more genuine, more true people than I have my whole life. There are closer friendships, bonds, just overall that we've just never had.
right.
Even people that were like, these are our best friends. Like, I look back now, I'm like, they were awful. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that for us is the biggest thing, is the people that we've met along the way that have just been amazing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm so glad that you've had the positive experience. You've met people in the industry that are super, warm and welcoming because I mean, there are these negative experiences that people have. Yes, it's completely undeniable, and everyone should know when that shit happens because those are people we want to avoid. We don't want the community as a whole to be negative or it to be a negative experience for someone because whenever it comes to I guess, growth for the individuals and for the community itself. I want all the good shit. Like,
Hmm.
I want all that good shit put in. I don't like I don't like the abuse or, the negativity. Like we were talking about earlier, kind of you mesh better with the people that are um, better chemistry or more positive. So it's one of those situations that I hope the industry continues to grow in a positive direction. With the increase, we were talking about OnlyFans earlier, with the increase of I guess the OnlyFans models and with everyone kind of joining thinking that anyone can be a porn star and just kind of be there and just make money. It does make the business a little bit harder to navigate because there's so many people there. But I feel like over time, those people are kind of weeded out. So it leaves the good people. It leaves the people that are
Hmm.
trying to put forth the effort. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Awesome. Again, make sure you go follow CJ over on Twitter. And I'm going to tell you, she made it super easy for you. If you go look at the links in her bio, everything is literally right there.
It is.
Like
Super
it's
easy.
it's so easy. CJHotwife.com over at CJ Hotwife over on Twitter.
Mhm.
So thank you guys for coming and joining us for another episode of Forbidden Depths. And thank you so much, CJ, for being so amazing.
Yes, thank you.
You have a wonderful day, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Hey, it's Queen Frostbitten again, your host. I just want to remind you that you can follow us on YouTube at Forbidden Depths. That's FORBIDDENDEPTHS. Or over on Twitter at the number 4 BIDDENDPODCAST. Remember to always stay educated, consensual, and safe. We'll see you on the next show.